Hello, everybody. My name is Richard Vigorelli. This is Vigorelli Institute. I'm not going to be gaming most likely today. Do need to turn off my phone notifications. Don't disturb me. Busy. And by the way, if you hear a blowing sound, that's my space heater. It's 14 degrees outside Fahrenheit. It's cold. This was Celsius. Remember my conversion, -10? Something like chilly. Why are you in a t-shirt? Because I prefer them. Now, this stream is all about the Chinese New Year that's coming up. We've got here. Come on, you can do it. I don't care. Okay, there we go. 2 weeks. Well, 2.5 weeks. Okay. It's going to be on February 2nd, so if you haven't already moved your stuff around in your Feng Shui, now's the time to do it. I would show you what I've done, but I don't want to. Okay? Now, here's the thing. There is a time value to Feng Shui. Okay? Things change. That's why 1 year where you're living is awesome, great, and wonderful, and it couldn't be better. And then the next year, well, teenagers in horror movies have had better days. Yeah. Okay, I'm sure you can relate, potentially. All right, so here in my office, so I spend a lot of my time here, a lot of my influences here. Okay, and I'll get into a thing called Place of Power later, but that's more Western magic. I've studied a lot of stuff. Okay, now as I'm sitting, I am actually looking to the south. Okay, because my door is right there where I come in, and that door. And in Feng Shui, you do not want to have your back towards the door because it's called the marauder principle. Somebody comes in, does something bad to you because you can't see them. But if you can see them coming, then you can defend yourself. Okay? So I'm always facing a door. Never sit with your back to an entrance. Ever. Bad Feng Shui. Also not smart, especially if people don't like you. Okay? Now, where I am on the east side of the room. In fact, I'm in the eastern to northeastern sections. Okay? Center of the room is right here, beside me. Okay? Here's one. If I have all this down. There we go. Yes. East is 1. Okay. Now, then southeast is 2. 3 is in the middle. 4 is in the northwest. 5 is in the west. 6 is in the northeast. 7 is hard in the south. 8 is in the north. And 9 is in the southwest. Okay? So, 2, where it is, corresponds to disease. Okay? So, whenever I pass in and out of this room, I pass through a disease quadrant for the year. Okay? So, I'm going to need some pretty good stuff to fix that. What you want to do is you don't want things to be sedentary. Okay? That builds the negative, bad things. Also, one of the ways you've done and screwed up with how this is going to be set up is you'll feel sick when you're sitting there. Okay? You'll get nauseous. You'll get a headache, something like that. Okay? Additionally, in the southeast, because southeast is dominated by the dragon, which is the year, which by the way is a wood dragon, we'll get into that, you have to put something there that's going to appease it. Okay? It's what is known as the Tai Sui. Okay? In Western terms, it's Jupiter, king of the gods. Okay, so if you don't want to use a Chinese format, that's fine. I actually use a very Mediterranean format in mine because, well, okay. So who is Jupiter? Okay, Jupiter is very akin to Zeus. They're fairly similar. Some of their personalities stuff is a little different, but they really like eagles. There's reasons for that in the story. So my Qilin, as this fix is called for the Tai Sui, is an eagle, preferably a white one. However, if you can't get a white one, you deal with it. Okay, so because I can't put a shelf there, okay, without severely hampering the door and running the risk of breaking my white eagle that I usually have that floats around my room, you know, I bought me a picture of an eagle, and it's actually hanging up right there. Right at it right now. And I've also got a couple of other things. Okay? Got a picture of a gourd, well, a vase. Okay, so what that does is it symbolically traps the illness. That's taken care of. Okay, and then I've got something that is flushing. Okay, so with this, because of its natural area, you're going to want two elements there primarily because you need reinforcement as normal. You're going to need wood, and you are going to need water. Fire is not its friend. Okay, earth, not the best option, so you're going to have to overpower it. Okay? All right. So, moving on to the south. Ding-a-ling. South is primarily the place of fame. Okay? 7 is there. 7 corresponds to robbery, theft, misfortune, bad things. You know, people showing up that don't like you. So, what you need to do, okay, 7 is a metal number, and it's in a fire zone. So, what you do is you take a wooden box, and you fill it with 7 pieces of metal. I don't care what they are. They can be screws, pieces of tin foil, bottle caps. I don't care. Okay? Just put them in there, lock it, like literally lock it up. I actually have one. It's in a wooden box, and it's got a lock on it. Now, normally, I have this guy. Okay? Sign of water, salt, blue, water animal, water animal. Okay? Lots of water there. Now, why would that be the case? Well, water is the child of metal. And if it's anywhere else, that's a really, really good thing, especially if we're going to be in a metal spot, which next year it goes up here in the north, okay, if I remember. And it'll have to reunite, which is fine, okay? So what happens is the water weakens the metal, the wood weakens the metal, okay? But because it's right now sitting in the south, you don't want to put water in the south because that will weaken the intrinsic fire. You need that. You need that so that you have friends, a job, okay? You can go out and do things. Money comes in because the fire will respond, okay? Because fire is innately fame, it will respond to your ability to act in society, okay? So you don't want to dampen. Instead, use the natural inclinations of the fire area, okay, to weaken the metal that way, okay? Then you bind it up with wood, so it has to cut its way out, and that wood strengthens the fire, okay? I have a ton of wood in my south. I always have because with my astrological chart, fire is not my friend because I'm a metal type person, okay? I can't have a lot of fire around me, okay? Notice how I almost never wear black. Excuse me, I almost never wear red. I'm almost always in blue, black, white, green. green, stuff like that. Okay? Because fire doesn't like it. Okay? It weakens me. So, I've got all of that wood over there. It's breaking down the invading metal and reverting it out. Okay? Then we pop over to, let's go to the southwest, and come here, notes. By the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free. Okay? Now, because of the 9, which, by the way, on New Year's Day, we are moving into period 9, out of period 8. This is a big deal. Fame and fortune moves over into the southwest. That needs to be tapped, especially if you are young or starting into middle age. Okay? That way you can kind of have your life set up. Okay? So you're going to want some fire in the area in order to reinforce the 9 and help things turn into earth so it becomes solid and stable. Okay? Nothing is worse than unstable fame. Ask an actor. Okay? So, that's going to be very, very important. Now, while we're here, let me talk about what it means for us to be transferring into period 9 from period 8. Okay? 8 is an earth number. Okay? It's the earth number. I believe it's big earth, if I remember correctly. And earth is about stability. Okay? Well, it started to break up just a little while ago. Okay? I think about 2 years ago. That's when the cusp started. Okay? Cusp will usually assume roughly 10 to 15% of the total time. Okay? And it's turning to fire. Okay? Fire is light. Fire is purification. Fire is knowledge. Fire is spreading. Okay? It's going out, doing things. Okay? So coming up in period 9, which will last for 20 years, there's going to be, I would not call it instability, but reality will be coming forward. Okay? The way things truly are. And I can guarantee you, you're not. Okay? Because everyone, myself included, has created a precept about the way things are, and it's wrong. I guarantee it, but we don't know what's wrong until we know what's wrong. Then, by default, we also know what's right. Okay? Moving on. So, moving into the due west. That is 5. Okay? 5 corresponds to the 5 ghosts. It's bad. And there's an easy fix for it. It's called the 5-element tower. Okay? What you need to do is you need to have all 5 elements in one space. Now, you can get this. It's a bunch of geometric shapes made out of something. It just sits there. I made mine. I actually did a video on that a few years ago. It's a lighthouse. Okay, the light is fire. It's got a blue top. That's water. It's got metal posts in it. It's also got a white cap. Okay, that's metal. It's made out of rocks, and it's also got a wood base. Okay, and that's all. Okay, so it's just kind of hanging out there in the west, doing whatever it is it does. Okay, now we get into the northwest. Now, the reason why you want to subdue the 5, okay, it's one of those things that breeds disease. It breeds really weird stuff that happens, okay? Like, you'll just be cruising on down the street and all of a sudden, guy blows a red light and bye. Okay, stuff like that. Random, chaotic events. That's why it needs to be subdued. Okay? It adds more predictability to your life. But predictability is bad. Do you like the lights coming on when you flip the switch? Yes. Then you like predictability. Shut up. Now, moving into the northwest, okay, this is the gate of heaven. It's always the gate of heaven. It's okay to have a soft light there. It's not okay to have a bright, sparkling light there. Okay, that's representative of fire at the gate of heaven. Not good. This is a little bit more Chinese, but you can argue it in the Western traditions as well. Okay, so what I have there is a lot of metal because that's a natural spot for it. Over here, we have the influence of wood with the 4. Okay, soft. So you've got wood at the gate of heaven, which is a metal zone. Okay, that's a weakening. Okay, now you don't want that. Okay, you want lots of earth there if you can get it, metal if you can handle it. Okay, so I've got a few things in there. I moved my CDs over there, and I moved a few other things that are very metallic, and life is good. Yeah. Okay, now pop it over to the north. North is always water. It's always cold too. With the 8 being there, it adds future prosperity. Okay, so you got future prosperity in the north, which is where you see that little figure is. Okay, got future prosperity there, and it's sitting directly opposite fame. Okay, so fame and future prosperity, and then fame in the southwest. These 3 need to be activated together. Okay? So what I'm doing here is I am throwing a ton of water into the area. Okay? Because 8 is an earth number. Okay? When you pour water on the ground, what happens? It disappears, right? Unless it's saturated, then it sits. I call that a lake. Okay. Well, I kind of want the wealth. Okay. I need to generate it for later. That way I don't have to work forever. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bog down that 8 and build up the natural water in the area by adding, well, I've got a fountain there. I've got a bunch of metal from 2 figurines that are literally made out of metal. And I've also got a few other things there as well. Okay. Now, scoot over here to the northeast. We've got this area this year is going to be built for victories in battle and victories in work. Okay, so that's something that I made. Okay, I really like this flag because water, metal. Okay, both of which I need in order to be successful. So I keep this behind me, supporting me. I also have this is my work area. This is where I do my writing. This is where I make my videos. The issue is my desk is made out of wood, natural wood actually. Built it myself. Okay, took me a weekend. Okay, now that's important because east, which is where I'm sitting, is wood. Okay, right now it's got a lot of metal in the area by its nature. That's not good. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to reinforce with actual wood, okay, which I have done already naturally. So I didn't actually have to do a whole lot. Okay, that's me. Okay, now here comes in when you need to tailor it. Okay, these things are for everybody across the board. The difference comes in with your home area and your natural element. Okay, now, what do I mean by all this? Well, the first thing you need to consider is your year animal. I was born in 1983. I'm a water pig. But I'm more than that. I was also born in October of that year, so that makes me a water dog. I was born on the day of the metal sheep. Okay? And I was born early in the morning, so, well, not early, I would call it mid. Okay. Born at 8. Okay. So that makes me a water dragon. My temper shows it. All right. So what happens is I have to take all of that into account, okay? Your natural element is on your day, not your year, okay? In all actuality, your year animal has very little to do with you, okay? It's got a little bit, but not as much as you think. Your day is much more important, okay? And if you know what to look for, you can definitely tell I'm a metal. Okay? My willingness to make videos is actually weird, and it only started when I began generating a ton of fire in my chart because of a thing called a stem transformation. I have a video on that. Okay? So I have to base my feng shui off of metal to a point. Okay? So a lot of my stuff is very metallic. Okay. For example, it's one of my favorite coffee cups. It's huge. You know, guys in size. Haha. Okay. Another one. Dirty joke there. And metal. 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 Okay. Etc. Okay. But I also have a ton of water in my chart. Okay? Water for me is money coming in. Okay, this is revenue. This is my ability to make things. Okay, my ability to write comes out of water. My ability to do videos, okay, to do this is water to me. Okay, ability to have children, cook food, all of that, anything that these two hands do is water. Okay? My ability to keep it is wood. Wood. Okay? So, when I am building a feng shui thing where I need to build a wealth sink, that is, I want to keep money. Okay? I get wood anywhere I can do it. That includes not only physical objects made out of dead trees, but also living plants, things that are green, okay, which I don't really have a lot of. Let's see, this little guy right here. Yeah, a little lotus flower. Yeah, a little green elephant in it. Yeah, that's pretty powerful, isn't it? Yeah. Love it. I've had that for years. Okay. And yes, both of these things are still very Western, and they mean basically the exact same thing as they do in the Chinese lore. Okay? A lotus in every single culture is considered holy and auspicious because a lotus grows out of a stagnant swamp, and it's beautiful, and things live around it and actually purifies the water as it grows and spreads. Okay? That's why people like it. Okay? Incidentally, lotus is also an herb. I'm not going to tell you what it's used for because, well, you need to be diagnosed first. I'm not going to tell you that, but moving on. Okay? Now, elephants are cool. Don't care. Moving on. So for me, okay, because I'm a metal, holding on to money, holding on to my stuff, okay, being able to actually buy stuff like this, which this thing's really cool. I really like this. I bought this for myself for Christmas. Yeah, I'll show you what it does. This thing's pretty neat. Found it on Twitter, and Yeah, it's one of those drop ship things, but got a couple of areas where it gets pretty dark and makes things easier. Okay, so it wraps on like that. Partial glove. Tap the thing. Lights come on. Now I can see. Okay, pretty cool. Now, my ability to do that, because this is technically a luxury. Okay, I don't have to have this to survive. Okay, it makes it easier, but it's not vital. Okay, my ability to have enough money to be able to afford that and to even consider buying it is wood. Okay, so what is fire for me? Fire is fame. Fire is my ability to talk to people. Okay, for people to like me. Okay, and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button and share the videos and leave a comment on the videos. That always helps me. Okay, that's all in fire. Okay, now fire, like I said, doesn't like me that much, so I want accoutrements. Okay, itty bitty bits of it. Now I've been generating fire for a while now. I think I'm coming to an end on that. Yeah, I think that's done. Okay, but I might just be getting one. Oh, bad. Anyway. The more fire you have in your chart, the more outgoing and gregarious you are. Also, the more issues you have with authority, and the more authoritative you can become. Yeah, that's nature of the power bit. Okay, then we move into the last bit, which for me is earth. Okay, now after fame comes inheritance. Okay. Earth for me is my ancestors. Okay, these are the people going all the way back to the pond scum that eventually became a worm and then a fish and all that, everything all the way back to the very first cell. That is Earth for me. Okay, that is my talents, my inheritance. Okay, this is what my parents will leave me. This is what my grandmother left me when she died. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay. Well, I've already got a ton of that in my chart, so I don't need a lot lying around. Okay, if you were to look at any of the spaces I occupy, you're not going to find a lot of earth. Okay, at least not a lot of overt earth. No, you'll find a rock or two here and there. Maybe a crystal, because I think they're pretty, but that's it. You're not going to see any yellow, exactly. Those are actually quite rare. That being said, most of my pottery and cookware is earthen, because I don't like Teflon. Reasons for that. Okay. And you will also never see me wearing yellow. It's just, ew, why would you do that? Okay. So, as you prep for the coming year, prep for the coming transition into a new period, okay, period 9, make sure you take into account everything that's going to be happening. There are some things you're not going to be able to fix, okay, just the way it is. Either the room cannot be built for it, you're going to have to modify your lifestyle if you want to do that, and well, that would cause further problems. Deal with it, okay? Or, well, it's going to kind of suck, okay? It's going to kind of be the way it is. So let me turn it over to you. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to hang out here for a little while, sit and babble, okay, about what's going on next time as the year turns. So 2024 for me was actually pretty cool. I expanded my channel. I was able to get the technology so I could do this. I've got a monitor here. I've got a monitor right here in front of me. I've got this little guy. Okay. I've got these. It's actually got that. Okay. Unfortunately, it doesn't work very well because reasons. My desktop that I bought, my gaming rig, doesn't like it, and I don't know why. Well, that's not entirely true. If I'm online, like in a forum, and we're doing stuff, works great. Okay. However, OBS for some reason just does not like that headset. I spent an hour fighting with it. I was like, screw it, I don't care. I'll just use the one on the camera and get a new camera when I finally get the money for it. Okay? Which, by the way, if you want, super chats. I do have the ability for it. So, I also expanded my medical practice. I added I added all of Friday, which before I was working 3 hours on Friday. I added Tuesday, and I also expanded and built other things. Like I built this desk. Okay, I built a shelf. That's right on the other side of the desk. That's where I keep all my DVDs. Goodness, what else did I do? I built up my Twitter account, which, by the way, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Link in the description. And no, I'm not calling it X Bite Me. Okay, I'm almost up to 500 people, which means I'll be able to start taking revenue as soon as I subscribe at that point. Yay! A certain amount of interactions I have to have, which whatever. Okay. And then what's happened? Made a bunch of friends. Absolutely. There's plenty of people that I've met on Twitter, met here in real life, and we're helping each other out quite a bit. You know, we pop on every now and again. We share some dumb memes, laugh with each other. Okay, something bad happens, I say, "Hey, dude, it's okay. If you need me, call me." And there's actually quite a few people that have my number. No. They give me a call. Yeah. I talk them through it. There's a kid that found me. I'm not going to tell you where he is, but he's improving a great deal. I'm actually very proud of him. He's growing a lot, becoming a lot stronger as a person. So 2024 was actually a really good year for him, too. I hope it continues into this year. Okay. What do I see going on geopolitically in the coming year? Well, the United States is going through an election cycle. That will conclude by the end of the year. Okay. Election day is in November. And yeah, I guarantee you it's going to be messy. Oh boy, is it going to be messy. No two ways about that. As far as the world is concerned, people are kind of getting fed up with a lot of things. We're seeing it in Germany right now. We're seeing it in France. We're seeing it here in the States and in Canada. Well, maybe not as much in Canada. Argentina elected a really hardcore libertarian, which I think is hilarious. So 2024 is going to be a very intense year. Okay. This is when we're transferring into period 9, and it's going to be a ton of fire, man, because it's the end of that cycle. Okay, this is the pinnacle. Okay, and in 20 more years, we'll be starting over in 1. Okay, and I have no idea what that's going to look like. So we'll see. Okay. Just remember that you do have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to your family. Okay. And you have a responsibility to your nation in that the nation is supposed to keep the bad guys away so that when you come home from work, your stuff is still there. Okay. And you can sleep. Okay. There's food, heat, light. Okay. Fuel for your car. Okay. Stuff like that. everything that we've been struggling with as a society, as a species, starting in 2024, it's going to come time to make some decisions. Okay, guaranteed. That it's going to start. I don't know if it's going to happen in 24, but it might. So find out. Okay. Just remember, don't give money to people that hate you. Okay. If they have come out and said what you are is evil, don't give them money. It's not hard. Okay. If they are doing things that you do not agree with, don't support them. Okay. If you are on YouTube, if you are on Twitter, Rumble, whatever, and somebody says something that you don't like, it doesn't mean you have to hate them. It means you disagree with them, and a disagreement is okay. Okay? There's several things that people that I respect a lot say that I think are completely bass-ackwards, and I think they're idiotic for saying it. Doesn't mean I don't like them. Doesn't mean I'm still not going to hang out with them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to continue to support them. Okay? It's just the way it is. All right? So, let's see. We're starting to sniff 40 minutes, so I might call it here. Enough of my rambling. Oh, man. All right. If you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. And if you got any questions about mixing Chinese astrology and Feng Shui and all that, feel free to hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to help you out. Please share this video, okay? Oh, and by the way, I'm in the pre-write phase right now for writing a book that's going to go into detail about how all of this works. I'm going to put charts in there. I'm going to basically build it so that should something happen, it's handled. Okay, you have the information. Okay, and then I've added to the world a little bit. Okay, also, book 2 called Stonecutter is in its final editing phase right now, and I'm actually going to be working on it. Here's the stick that it's on. Okay, I worked on it a little bit today. And it's pretty much formatted. I'm just going through and doing itty bitty little tweaks here and there, you know, trying to find articles and pronouns and words that those aren't words, fixing that, and so forth. Okay. So, probably be available for sale starting in March.